And here we are.
Good evening.
Good evening, and welcome to PTV Live, the Disney Plus Movie Club.
Fireside chats.
Fireside chats.
With on locale of two places in California.
Welcome, everyone. It is time. Oh, goodness. Can you turn down?
I have to turn
He's
down
got to turn down some sound. There's the TV's on in the other room. Apologies. But welcome to the Disney Plus Movie Club. Tonight we have some guests with us that will be going through the motions. Well, not motions. We're actually going to be discussing Bedknobs and Broomsticks tonight. Ben will be joining us, of course, as well as Derek and Gregory of D&G Explorers.
What?
Hey, everybody.
I didn't know we were on the show.
We're going to be going through the motions of Bedknobs and Broomsticks. We're going to be flying on the bed and going through to, what was the cartoon land? The Island of Naboo.
Naboombu.
Island of Naboombu.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, exactly. So welcome in, everyone. It's good to have you all here. Ben, what did you find in... why don't you go ahead and start talking about the plot points of the film, or tell us. Actually, let's give it a minute or two.
Yeah.
How was your day?
My day was fast. It started a half an hour later than it normally does because the shift at my job shifted from 7:30 to 4 to 8 to 4:30.
Oh, okay.
But I still got there at 7:30, and it allowed me to do a walk in the morning around my neighborhood, so I got some exercise in. So good for me. I'm still getting an early start.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, but no, good day. Really good day. I got some good news that we may have baseball the first week of June.
That's wonderful.
Here's to hoping.
Derek and Gregory, welcome to the stream.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, and dilly to everybody. We
Dilly.
We just got done eating dinner, so this is our sangria left over. We haven't drank much, as you could tell.
So anyway, we have, oh goodness, there are 26 people here already in the stream. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us tonight for this wonderful conversation we're going to have about the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks from 1971.
Hopefully you've all watched it because we've got a lot to talk about.
Yes.
That's a very coveted piece, Derek. Okay, Gregory.
Yeah, Gregory and Derek are holding up a piece. It's actually not the movie that we watched on Disney Plus. That's actually the film the way it was originally supposed to be presented, but we'll talk about that in a bit.
Right.
Ben, let's go ahead and start talking about the movie.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and start about plot points on the movie. So what was the point? What's going on here?
Well, it's right towards the beginning of World War II in England, and a lot of orphan children are being relocated from the dangerous areas of London that's being bombed at the time out to the countryside. And there is... what did I hear there?
That was a motorcycle going up the street.
Excuse you, Ben. No.
Yeah, there are lots of children being brought to a countryside. What was it? An orphanage or whatever?
Thank you. We got to interrupt. Mike is
and,
just being very lavish right now.
Giving myself another birthday present by giving this to you guys. Love you guys. Mike Wheeler.
Thank you, Mike.
Happy birthday, Mike.
Very sweet of you.
Thank you very much,
very
Mike.
nice.
And
Happy
happy
birthday.
Yes.
Anyway, all these children are being dispersed to different families around the countryside, and there are 3 children left, and they are given to the star of the film, Eglantine Price, otherwise played by Angela Lansbury.
Eglantine Price. That's a very unusual name.
It's very kind of British.
Do you want to go into it?
I'll talk about it later.
I thought we were going to go into those two important things.
We'll go into that later.
Okay.
So Eglantine Price picks up the kids.
Yeah, who she's not really accustomed to having anyone in her home, and we come to find out that she's an apprentice witch.
Yeah.
Can I maybe correct you? I think it's Eglantine, isn't it? Because in the song they say Eglantine.
It's actually pronounced both ways, Eglantine and Eglantine.
Okay.
It depends how drunk you are.
No. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Anyway, I have to say, this is the first time I've ever sat from beginning to end of this movie. And I'm going to hold my review of the film later.
Okay, that's fine. So she's taking care of these children, and then pretty much it follows almost like a plot point of Mary Poppins, where magic ensues. There's one kid that doesn't believe it, of course. He's at the age of not believing, which is one of the songs.
Yeah.
And from there, they end up taking the bed, which is magically transformed because of what was it that Derek and Gregory? How was that scene happen? What did happen there? What was going on?
Which one? I'm sorry.
Which scene? We are listening, but I don't know what scene you're saying.
Talking about the bed knob and how she transformed it into a device.
There were some certain sayings that they did cut out on it. Well, I don't. Do you want to hold off on it of some of the differences?
That scene, I think, was the same when they first made the bed start flying for the first time. I think that part was all the same.
What we did is when we watched it, we literally played both of them together. So when the longer version one kept on going, Greg would stop the one that he was watching.
So a lot of stop and start.
Yeah, so there was a lot.
So she took the bed knob, which she had given to, which it was in Paul's pocket. That's the little child that had it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why she needed it back was because she had to get to London to meet up with the school the school owner of the magic school where she was taking lessons.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the school had gone out of business, but that's just because we find out later that the professor was a sham. He just thought it was fake. He didn't realize that the magic really worked, that they were real magic spells. So once they got there, through using the bed knob, it transported the bed to Portobello Road, which is where they found this guy. I just very odd. I liked the idea that they transformed that bed knob into, I guess, the transport device, and then Paul had to tap it 3 times and then turn it to the left.
A quarter turn to the left.
Quarter turn to the left, and that would activate the bed. And of course, Charlie was the older kid. That was his name, Charles.
Charlie,
yeah.
Okay.
It was Charlie, Perry, and Paul.
Charlie was skeptical of the magic, so he wanted to stay home at Ms. Price's house. Miss Price, rather, not Ms.
Yeah.
Miss Price's house. He wanted to stay there by himself, but then he got chased by the cat. The cat kind of hissed at him and growled, and so he jumped on the bed, of course, just as the bed leaves the bedroom and flies. What really felt very like. I mean, didn't you feel like it was like some kind of like an acid trip or something?
Well, I've never been on an acid trip.
That's what I texted you. I said this looks like what an acid trip would look like. Because I never had one either.
But we thought it was funny because
don't plan on it either.
Angela Lansbury was just sitting there, just like.
She's used to it already.
I'm thinking, if that was me, I'd be like. And it kept on going faster and faster.
Yeah, and I did point out to Derek, I said, because they were supposedly going through wind and everything, and her hair was perfectly still, and then all of a sudden it's like they turned on the fan and like cue the fan, and then her hair started to blow and everything. I was like, what the heck?
Well, they ended up at Portobello Road, which is where it was believed where the doc. Well, what was his name? It was Miss Doctor or Mr. Professor
Brown.
Professor Brown. That's it. Professor Brown said that the original book was purchased at Portobello Road. So then they took the bed to Portobello Road with Professor Brown. Mm-hmm. What did you think of Portobello Road?
It was a street fair. I mean, there was nothing much to it. I mean, I see what the plot was doing it, as you were talking about, that it's some people consider it a very long scene. I knew it was long, but I didn't have a problem with it. I actually liked it.
I saw it as a salute to It's a Small World, because it had different variations of the song and all kinds of different countries represented in that song. All kinds of different dances.
I'm sure everyone else thought that too. Derek Gregory, was that your impression of Portobello Road?
Well, that was very common in an English market. So that's in the 40s. That's what you would have gone to in certain areas, and Portobello Road would have been something that was how it would have looked. Not that they would have dancers going around like that, but that was pretty common. And because, I mean, some of the stuff they had, their books, used stuff. They had cockles and winkles, which were kind of like fishy stuff. I remember we used to get them when we went to the beach in England. So all these different stuff that you could see there is a typical market that you would, it was.
Ours was very different. Sorry, go ahead.
No.
Ours was very different from your version that you saw on Disney Plus, because I'm not going to go into it all yet, but I was watching Disney Plus and I realized, it just switched the scene. And here we are watching the TV on a DVD, and I'm like, it's still going. So,
but we it went. The original Portobello Road was on for almost 10 minutes. Yeah. And they cut it down to 3 minutes, which is the one on Disney.
Yeah.
Plus. So from 10 minutes to 3 minutes.
It was for a 10-minute show.
It felt long already in the movie that they released as it is in the theater. So they couldn't find the book, but they did manage to find the other half through circumstances. They got it, and they were pretty much almost directed by knife point to this guy that wanted the other part of the book that they owned, that they had in their hands. And then this guy had the other half, each thinking the other would be able to tell the story of the spell that they were actually looking for, the spell of Azeroth. Was the star that they were talking about, the little star pendant that we'll see about later. At that point, they managed to leave again. Instead of being at knife point, the guy says, you can't get out of here. So they do, magically. And he's completely surprised. The bookman is completely surprised that they're able to disappear. So that's Eglantine's motorcycle going up the
stairs. Going through a lot.
And it's not a busy street. I mean, it's banana. It's just we have one neighbor that decides to make noise.
So from there, they go to the island of Nabumbu, where they end up under the sea. And the song, of course, under the beautiful briny sea. Great number. I liked the number. I thought it was very cute, and I liked that they were able to incorporate the animation that way too. What were your thoughts on that?
That was one I got wrong on your trivia. This song was actually written for Mary Poppins.
Yes,
and they ended up putting it into this movie when they didn't use it for, and that is one of the links to Mary Poppins. But when we were watching it, the animated sequence was exactly the same from the 30th anniversary to the one that they put on Disney Plus. There was a difference on it.
There's nothing different.
Yeah. And Greg's comment was, which we kind of laughed at, Greg had issues with them being able to breathe underwater. The humans breathing because when they come into the island, they're at the bottom of the ocean. And I replied, but it's okay for fish to talk.
And be dressed dapperly and everything. But
they were going to a nightclub.
Yeah. I know Ben was going to say some stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
The one thing I kind of pieced together, I didn't realize that Beautiful Briny Sea was supposed to be originally written for Mary Poppins. But what I did like was that they actually did an underwater sequence in Mary Poppins Returns.
Yes, they did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you see, the original scene, the way the animation played out, they had it playing just pretty much like Mary Poppins, where they popped into the chalk picture, but here they instead went into a fictional world by use of the magic book. It's very, very much like Bedknobs and Broomsticks. We will discuss a little bit about that, Bedknobs and Broomsticks versus Mary Poppins, but we'll move on to that. So they managed to get the Star of Azeroth from around the lion's neck,
After a very long soccer sequence.
Very.
I thought it was a little too long, but that's just me.
Greg was saying, he goes, they're showing the same scenes over.
Yeah.
They did loop some of the same, like they would go one way and then they would look this way, and then the elephant. What is that?
It's fine. Keep going.
Oh, then the elephant would keep shooting the soccer ball from his nose, and I'm pretty sure it was just the same cut over and over again every time they showed him shooting the ball.
Yeah, I noticed that too. But it was definitely a soccer as long as it is. But why did they have to animate it as long as they did?
Well,
Sorry, we haven't allowed names.
I have a tidbit of a chip, but I'm not told to talk about it yet.
go ahead, talk about that.
There's a hidden Mickey in the movie. If you look closely at the audience during the animated soccer match, you'll find a familiar face. There's a bear wearing a Mickey Mouse t-shirt.
In the stands.
Oh,
I didn't realize
now we
that.
gotta look for that. Thanks a lot, Doug. Now we gotta go through the whole movie
Yeah,
again.
That's a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah, so just find that Easter egg. There's a Mickey Mouse t-shirt in the stands of the soccer match.
That's cool.
So go ahead and take a look for that one again. I'm going to have to go back and watch it myself.
Or I'll just look it up on YouTube.
We all felt that the soccer match was a little too long.
And then the bear who got them out of the sea, I have a tidbit about the bear.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so people have said that it was a violent match as well as a long match. So
yeah.
Yeah. But they got the star. And they were able to go back, and if they needed that star because it had a magic spell on it for, what was the magic spell for?
Substitutionary locomotion.
You almost had it.
Substitutionary locomotion. And that was so that she could pretend or try and protect the country of England from German invasion.
To bring inanimate objects to life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
it was funny that you mentioned that the soccer game was violent, because poor Mr. Brown, I think he would have been trampled to death by then. But the first time they all went over him, he had black eyes all over the place. Yeah, he was tore up.
You're right, he was. So they got the spell and everything. And I think she didn't remember the spell. It was because Paul had it in his book, the Tales of Naboo. He had it all the time.
Yeah. So why did they even have to know?
Nobody listens to that poor boy.
No, poor Paul. No one listens to him.
I can relate to Paul a lot.
Wow.
He was the controller of the knob, and no one listened to him.
I think Ben should be able to relate to him more than you, Doug.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But the spell worked. She was able to conjure up an entire army of invisible people
to fight off the Nazis.
To scare off the Nazis. And the Nazis left England at that moment to protect England. So it worked. Of course, she lost everything from her magic stuff. Everything she lost her house because of the explosion. The Nazis blew it up. They saw where things were happening, so they blew it up. They had actually co-opted the house, hadn't they?
Yes.
Well, I know they blew up her working area, but I don't know if the rest of the house was destroyed, because they said her not shop.
That's right. Her magic shop was away from the house. She had to go through a couple doors to get to that.
Yeah.
Couldn't she just use magic and bring it back?
And once again, she was on a broom, and well, actually, we won't talk about that yet. Crap. She couldn't stay on a broom.
I'm just waiting until they say, "Okay, go ahead," because I don't want to say anything I shouldn't say yet.
Well, actually, we've gotten through the movie, so let's discuss some different things about the film.
Okay.
I did notice they don't use wands. This was before the day of wands, I guess. She just had a book and pointed her finger. There were no wands involved.
No, but see, the same thing was for Bewitched. At the time, witches did not need a wand to perform a spell. So I guess they just used that same, just saying a spell, and that was it. The characters they had, Paul, Charlie, and the girl's name. What was the girl's name again?
Carrie.
That's it. Okay, so the three of them, they were misplaced. I really like the fact that they had three of them. I like that Charlie was a little bit of a problem, so he would misbehave occasionally, and then of course he was turned into a rabbit. He was supposed to turn into a toad, though. She got the spell mixed up, and she found that out because Professor Brown told her, "Oh, I just mixed up the words and added my own little
flair
to it."
He was amazed that his spells even worked.
The one thing, because I look at it back with my mom. My mom was born in 1939. She was in Wimbledon, and she actually had a bomb go off down the street, and all of her windows were blown out.
Oh, wow.
And it's just interesting listening to that time. She talked about having like dinner tables that had cast iron. They were made out of cast iron, and they would like close them down. So if they weren't able to get into the like the underground, they could go underneath the table in case a house collapsed on them. So they would have some protection.
Oh, fascinating!
But also, not just orphans. They moved. All the children they moved out. My mom went to Wales, which is connected to England, because that was an area that her and her older brother were moved over there during that time. So just hearing how this story is, it related more to me than like Mary Poppins. And also the Germans would send sorties out there to kind of, test England and map things out. So it was those just kind of like the storyline just kind of hit points with me personally, just because of my background.
That's fascinating. Great insight. What did you think of Professor Brown?
Really coming down.
Or Professor Brown, because he was a schoolmaster. I thought he was a shyster. But I could easily see how people would confuse him with Mr. Banks, too, because, David Tomlinson was the actor. So it was very easy, I'm sure, to confuse the roles. People would say, wait a minute, Mr. Banks, why is he doing that?
I thought he was a shyster at first, but I think he changed over time. He went through his own transformation internally.
I think you're right. So, okay, so Eglantine, again, interesting name. It's actually the name of a rose, or it can also be a sweet briar. So it's very British.
It's a flower.
Eglantine, it's a flower. I had never heard that before. I've only seen Bedknobs and Broomsticks one other time, and even then I did not see it from beginning to end. So watching it this time, I'm so glad that we've got Disney Plus that we can enjoy the old classics like this. And I would consider this film a classic in the term of a Disney film.
I really liked it. I thought it
was... he has a thumb up one.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah. So
I was very entertained from the beginning to the end.
But really
no complaints.
So the
character is pouring over here. Sorry if you hear the rain coming down.
That's okay.
Oh, I want rain.
Now we mentioned the animation characters. There was a bear.
Okay, my turn.
Yeah, there was a bear. There was a lion. Doug, go ahead and give us a little bit about
the animated bear who pulls out everybody to the sea was voiced by Doll McKinnon. McKinnon was also the voice behind Gumby, Archie, and various small parts of Mary Poppins, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and a Tramp, and 101 Dalmatian. He's also the guy who tells riders that they're about to enjoy the wildest ride in the wilderness before you board Big Thunder Railroad Mountain.
Oh, no kidding. So that actor also, the voice actor did the voice of the
Thunder Mountain
person on Thunder Mountain.
Yeah.
Yep, he's the bear.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't look it up, but I thought he sounds very familiar. He sounds like he did the voice of the giant in Mickey and the Beanstalk, and also the same giant in Mickey's Christmas Carol. Their voices sound exactly the same. I think he just tweaked it a little bit.
It didn't show that in the thing, though.
I don't know. I didn't know who. What, in the credits for him? You mean?
I was looking at all the different
voices. I'm
voices.
pretty sure it's the same person.
He also was one of the. Was it Mel in the Country Bear Jamboree? He was the voice of him.
Oh, it could have been. I mean, Adal McKinnon. If you probably go back, because you got to remember when they did credits for these movies, they just took a big chunk. Now the credits are the janitor, the people who work at the cafe, the cashier at the cafe,
even babies born
during
the process.
So it's like anybody who burps is in the movie. So it's now back then they didn't do that.
He also was the original Tony the Tiger because they're great.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Apparently also Ben Franklin in the
Yeah.
event.
Yeah, he did a lot. He did a
lot of voiceover stuff. So yeah, so that was one character that I wanted to make sure that we mentioned. The lion, wow, what a blowhard.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, can you explain that, please? I haven't heard of that before.
Blowhard, just very loud, very obnoxious.
Oh, boisterous. Okay.
Yes, everything had to be his way, of course.
That's a good word for it, boisterous.
Boisterous, yeah, definitely.
We always like to use words of the day. So we always talk big words when we're out throughout the day.
Everything has to be his way. You're very boisterous.
No, that's not boisterous.
You're very blowharded, like you just said.
That's not what you're using it.
I will say this: Under the Sea, I absolutely loved. I love the fish. The one thing that I really liked was when one fish was this way, and all of a sudden it was very thin when it turned to its profile, and then it faced the other way.
That actually made me laugh.
It made me laugh too. There were some great sight gags underwater. That was great,
Yeah.
and I loved when you first walked into the club. The curtain of bubbles opened up.
Yeah,
I loved that. I thought that was a great little sight gag.
yeah.
You know who we can thank for the live action and animation that they put together?
Was that Ward Kimball?
Ward Kimball.
We can thank for that technology Ub Iwerks.
Oh, Ub Iwerks, yeah.
The film employed an amazing technique, the sodium screen vapor process. This is before green screen. That was a precursor to the modern day green screen. First developed by Walt Disney Studios' famed Ub Iwerks, the technique allowed filmmakers to combine live action with animation, as well as combine several layers of live action in order to create a special effects never been seen before on the silver screen. A yellow screen behind them allowed filmmakers to shoot images on a special 3-strip Technicolor film camera. Inside, a prism would remove all the sodium light, leaving only the main image. The image then could be put into a manner of situations, both live action and animated. Although the screen appeared yellow on set, photographs would show orange color since the photo cameras couldn't pick up the intense yellow.
Huh.
So it was a very, very intense process. And that was modern day. That was what they used for green screen. Now everything's clicked, done, and you slop everything in it because everything's a computer. So it really, when you read about it, but it's a whole thing by Ub Iwerks.
Yeah. I some of the things that we're picking up from just doing some studying about this movie, I love that.
Yeah, I love that part.
Okay,
go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask, do you want us to go through the differences?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, let's get rid of the elephant in the room is the extension, because I have a chunk that we can add to it if you don't already add to it.
Actually, let's go ahead and talk about that first. And the reason why the film that Derek and Gregory watched was longer than what we saw on Disney Plus.
We could blame it on Radio City Music Hall. Back in 1971, Walt Disney Pictures had booked this lavish family musical into New York's famous palace, the Radio City Music Hall. But the Radio City Music Hall said it had to be under 2 hours because it was going to be before Radio City's elaborate Christmas stage show. So 20 minutes had to be taken out. And it was really, really painful. And the one that was really that was hard, that actually hurt the Sherman Brothers. They were questioning, even working with the Disney company, was a song called Nobody's Problem. It was sung by the children and once by Eglinton. And then I have a whole paragraph that goes in about how the Sherman Brothers were really, really upset because that helped really was the heartbeat of the picture that they took out. It was very important because it really, the orphans going out into the countryside to get away from the war, that helped establish it. So you guys can talk about that extending. But thanks to Detective Works by Disney's Scott McQueen, the 23 minutes were restored into the 30th anniversary DVD vision. So what we have always seen on Disney Plus and all the theatrical is what was at Radio City Music Hall in 1971. And then they have the real copy. And I want to see that copy because it sounds very amazing. That 23 minutes is a lot. So
what were the scenes that were cut?
And talk about the Nobody Problem song. Did that actually help the movie?
All right.
So this is the version that we watched. It is really raining hard buckets right now. Yeah, this is the 30th anniversary edition. And when I was looking up one scene on YouTube, because I forgot what was said, they put the description as the UK version, but it was still the 2003 version. So I guess this is considered a UK version.
In 1996, they did a Laserdisc version, which was 25th anniversary. They released that 25th anniversary one in 2001 on DVD, which is what we have as the 30th anniversary, along with some different stuff. So we have, and we were talking about that beforehand. We have the 25th anniversary edition, but it's released as a 30th anniversary.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is probably more than any movie I've seen. They have so many different editions. They have the 1979 theatrical re-release of it, and they cut out a bunch of movies. Even
movies.
Songs. They cut out like the one that was nominated for an award. I think it was
that's this one.
No, there was a song. I think it was the Age of Misbelieving.
Age of Not
Believing.
Yeah, they cut that out, and they cut like a bunch of songs on it. That was in 1979. And then they had another version in I think 2014. They had another version, and I'm like thinking, how many versions of this album can they have?
I'll say this: I do have a theory as to why they probably cut the numbers as much as they did from the 1979 version, and that's because of how poorly Pete's Dragon performed in the movie theater. They probably did that because Pete's Dragon had too many songs in it. And so they thought, you know what? Let's just cut as much as we can from Bedknobs when we put it out in the theater again.
Well,
yeah, but you could really tell when they cut stuff. Like, I was watching it. I had it playing on my phone by me, and we had the DVD playing. And they would, like, cut off from one song while the DVD was still going. And I was like, wow, they really cut this off. So I'd have to pause the iPhone and wait for this to finish and then find out what is matching with Disney Plus for the next scene. But I would say this is the definitive version of it.
Yeah.
Okay, now, you've got the DVD version of it. Was there ever a Blu-ray edition that was released?
You can get it on Blu-ray.
Stacy was asking for that.
But is it that same? Is it the same length of the movie?
No, it's Disney Plus 1971.
I don't think so.
I looked on Blu-ray today anywhere online, and the only one I can find is the version that ran in 1971, 117 minutes long.
It's on Disney Plus. The Pier one, the iResearch one, is that one that was originally done before it was cut.
Even trying to buy it from iTunes, it's still the same 117-minute version. It's not the restored extra 23 minutes.
So we have breaking news from Jim. He just sent this.
So if you're able,
it's a screen capture. If you could zero in on Gregory.
So that's the hidden Mickey with the bear.
Oh, that's great.
See?
That's really funny.
I informed you thusly.
I mean, that's a total Mickey head. That's not just an outline of Mickey head.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Welcome.
One of the big differences of the
we don't have time to do that.
one of the big differences,
We'll go in
Roddy.
order. Why
Well,
don't you go in order?
well, I don't know. You're not going to cover this part. Roddy
I
McDowell.
do have those, but that's okay.
Okay, you go.
No, go ahead.
No, I don't want to ruin your thunder. So go ahead.
No. Okay, so I was just going to start from the beginning. There were 12 total. So the first one, they cut out a scene between.
You got 10 minutes.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so the lady that was trying to get the kids to go with
Hog Day?
Eglantine.
No,
Miss Hop Day.
Hop Day.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, they cut out a scene between a soldier and Mrs. Hop Day before the kids went home. Before they went to the home, there was a captain and her that were going back and forth. And then
Before the old home guard showed up.
yeah, before the singing old home guard came up.
And that was like maybe 3 or 4 minutes, that one scene.
Yeah.
Was.
Okay, now you can go into what you were saying. Sorry.
So Roddy McDowall is in the credits. He was cut. It was supposed to be a minor plot in the story where he is trying to take over the property that she's living on, and he was trying to marry her. But they reduced it.
I didn't get that part.
They reduced it from his scenes down to 1 minute, completely eliminating that plot within there. So and on at least on the DVD version, he's listed in the credits as the number 3 actor. So 1 minute, and he's listed as the number 3 actor.
You also have to remember that at that time, Roddy McDowall was actually a popular actor in Hollywood. He had just gotten off the Planet of the Apes franchise, started in 1968. So in 1971, he was a bankable name at the box office. So if you had his name attached, it would probably drag some people into the theater to see the movie.
That's very true.
So I wrote down the scenes. So the first one with Roddy McDowall, I guess he's the pastor, had a conversation with Miss Hopday after Miss Price took the kids to the house on their way, about the house and the acres that she has and the ailing vicar getting better. So Miss Hopday asked if the pastor will take the place of the vicar in the war, and he said, "Sally, no," and coughed as if he was sick. So he just was like, like pretending that he was sick to get what she was asking. And then go ahead.
Stacy was asking, "What's the running time on this DVD?" This one is 139 minutes.
So it's like almost 2.5 hours.
She had the one she was talking about was 117 minutes, which was the one that they put just under 2 hours.
Yeah.
So then at the dinner table, Miss Price asked the kids to write to their parents, and the girl told a whole story of how they didn't have parents, that their Aunt Bessie...
who wasn't really their Aunt Bessie.
Okay, from the war, cared for them, and then something happened with her, so then they ended up being orphans. She told the story at the dinner table, and they cut out a whole scene of saying grace at the dinner table.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if it was because I don't know why they did it. And I don't want to
it could be that they just wanted to move the plot along, and that just kind of probably just slowed the film down.
Yeah. This is like a minor thing. Miss Price takes kids to a huge wooden door and says, "This is my workroom," and never takes anyone in there. And then it just cuts. It would cut in your version. It would cut to them already being in there, but she explained it before that scene, so it was very minor. The pastor gives
Roddy McDowall.
Yeah, Roddy McDowall gives Miss Price a letter from Mr. Brown. They cut that. They cut Annie McDowell's scenes down to a minute on Disney Plus, like you said. Charles tries to bribe Miss Price for money to give the knob to her because she needed the knob back, and he had it. So he tried to bribe her with money. He was like this, like, "Give me money.
Give me some lolly."
Yeah.
Some lolly.
Yeah, that was definitely not needed in the film.
And I said, "Oh my gosh, they have bribery in a Disney movie."
That's not the first time.
They cut out the kids pushing the bed down the alley, and so all you see is that it was already in the alley, but they show them actually pushing it, I guess, and cut out magic tricks and the whole song with a flare. So when Mr. Brown was doing his magic tricks, there was a part where he poured what was supposed to be milk in this guy's hat, and it looked like
an egg.
And it looked like gloppy, curdled milk. They used white paint for that.
Nice.
And then the song with a flare was completely taken out. They cut out Miss Price explaining substitutionary locomotion is a spell to bring an inanimate object to life. And then they kind of moved this scene, kids looking at the book of Island of Naboom Boom. They put that
at the beginning on that Disney Plus one. Right?
Yeah, and ours was after of one of those scenes. They cut the Eglantine song down, which we already knew that.
And there's also another song that they had mixed in there.
That was the one, Song with a Flare.
No, that was Song with a Flare was when they were in the back alley. Don't Let Me Down was the name of it. So Eglantine and Don't Let Me Down is the other song that was.
But we didn't even hear that song, didn't we?
They cut 2 songs from the movie.
Sounds like it was 3.
3.
Yeah, there was another one too. Yeah, Nobody's Problems was also another one that was.
Yeah.
Nobody's Problem was the biggest
I have
one.
got to see the original version.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
You'll be amazed in what you've missed if you play them side by side like we did.
We'll have to bring it over so you guys can.
Yeah, we have to have that.
Great. I do want to see this.
Because it's not a real common copy to get. When we saw some of the prices, we're like, we're not going to spend that money right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very hot copy.
So I only have like 4 more, if that's okay. Portobello Road song had scenes that were cut out. The song was shortened. They had some dance segments.
That was easy to cut.
Yeah, they actually cut like little snippets of things. I think that Miss Brown or Miss Price was doing, and the kids also. They cut out the scene where the guy they make the guy push the bed. He was the minor character.
But he wasn't in real life. That's Bruce Forsyth. Bruce Forsyth was a very popular entertainer in England. He was the villain in this, the strongman, the henchman. But he was
for the guy in the bookstore.
Yeah, he's the longest running entertainer. I think he has a Guinness World Record. But when I lived in England, he was a very popular game host and entertainer. I don't know who we can even compare him to. Maybe Oprah Winfrey would be the kind of more in terms of, that status.
Like Regis Philbin.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
So they make him push the bed down the alley to meet the guy with the other half of the book. So what you see is the bed just coming down the thing. We see them pushing the bed to the door, and then it comes down the thing, down the stairs. Mr. Brown meets Mrs. Holliday, so they cut that part out. So in yours, they never met. The pastor runs into Mr. Brown in the same scene, and Mr. Brown and Charlie leave on the motorcycle. So that's kind of like bam, bam, bam.
Goes together.
Wow, they did cut a lot.
Wow.
Yeah.
Really?
They did.
They cut out the song Nobody's Problems, Miss Price sings. And then at the end, this was a very odd scene, and we didn't really understand it. But right when it said the words "the end," right before the credits, it's like they threw in this scene of the guy from the bookstore, and he says, "I don't mind saying to see it together at last, there isn't much I wouldn't do." So basically, to see the book together at last, there isn't much that he wouldn't do to make that happen, is what they meant. I just thought, why would they throw that in at the last minute before the credits? Unless they were trying to hint maybe he was going to go after it or something. I don't know.
Or maybe hints of a sequel.
Yeah, and Disney really didn't do much the sequels at that time.
No, because the movie was actually based on 2 books or 2 stories. One of the stories was called Bedknob and Broomstick.
No bootlegging, Stacey. Sorry.
No. Ben, you want to tell us a little bit about the cast of the movie?
Yeah, there's really only about 5 main actors in the movie. I didn't even include Roddy McDowall because he was so incidental in the final product.
He was
Angela Lansbury, she's still alive. She's 94 years old now. She was born in 1925. So it's amazing that she is still with us.
Mm-hmm.
But she's done over 100 roles in film and television, most notably for 12 seasons on the long-running series Murder, She Wrote.
I've never seen that show.
You haven't?
I've never watched an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
Yeah, I have never seen an episode of Murder, She Wrote.
His mom has all of them and has seen all of them and collects the books.
Now, and then Theo Tomlinson, I was, I can see where I'm confused.
Yeah, but Angela Lansbury's notable appearances for Disney are in Bedknobs and Broomsticks, then Beauty and the Beast, which she actually questioned why she should be singing the title song of Beauty and the Beast, but when she saw everything put together, she understood why the film creators and producers wanted her to be singing that song. She also appeared as herself in a narration role in Fantasia 2000. And then she also appeared in a small part as the balloon lady in Mary Poppins Returns.
That brought
Right.
Yeah,
that was very emotional for me.
that was
scene.
really fun seeing, the old actors coming back and everything, and
It's cool.
it was
Yeah. Now,
David,
go
go ahead. I was going to say David Tomlinson, who played Professor Brown. He passed away in the year 2000. He lived to be 83 years old, but he did over 60 roles in film and television. But he will always be known as Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins. But he also appeared in The Love Bug and Bedknobs and Broomsticks for Disney. So while he may have done 60 roles or more, he will most likely always be known as Mr. Banks in Mary Poppins. Now, as far as the three children are concerned, the two boys, Ian Whitehill, who played Charlie, and Royce Snart, yes, Snart, who played Paul. These two actors, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, were their only roles. They never did anything else other than Bedknobs and Broomsticks.
Yeah, a lot of the actors do that.
Like Pete and Pete's Dragon, he basically, that was it.
Well, no, Sean Marshall had a few other roles, but according to IMDb, these two boy actors, these were their only appearances.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Pete did a few more.
The actress who played Carrie actually went on to do. She's still an actress and has had 33 different roles in film and television, including a part in the BBC series EastEnders.
Oh, okay. Wow.
She's been in 25 episodes of that show.
The interesting thing on those kids, I hope I don't bring your thunder here.
No.
They specifically went hunting for children with strong London accents, which is why they got the roles.
Yeah.
They wanted almost a Cockney accent with these kids.
Especially that little boy, you could really hear that in his voice.
Child, no.
Nothing about a string.
No, they really casted that.
The most interesting casting wasn't necessarily casting, but it was the director of the film, Robert Stevenson. Arnie has mentioned that he was the grandson of Robert Louis Stevenson.
He's a distant relative of Robert Louis Stevenson,
who wrote Treasure Island.
I believe he also directed Treasure Island.
He did direct Treasure Island, but he directed a lot of Disney films, including Old Yeller, Absent-Minded Professor, Son of Flubber, Mary Poppins, That Darn Cat, The Love Bug, and The Island at the Top of the World. But he also directed episodes of television of Zorro, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and Gunsmoke.
Wow.
But the most interesting thing about his career, I found in my research, was that he had a really, really odd writing credit for doing an episode of Good Times in the 1970s.
Nice.
He wrote an episode called Penny's Christmas.
Oh, awesome.
But
I know.
no idea. No idea.
Yeah, there was another actor that you didn't mention, Ben, and that was General Sir Brian Teigler, Major General. Very small part in the movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks, but he's better known to everyone as Admiral Boom in Mary Poppins.
Reginald Owen.
Okay, I have to add this tidbit to it because Disney wanted Julie Andrews for the lead role. Because Mary Poppins was a great success for Disney, they tried to get lightning to strike twice by asking Julie Andrews to star. Like Mary Poppins, Bedknobs featured magic, music, animated segments, and even the same director and co-star, which is Robert Stevenson, and co-star David Tomlinson, Mr. Banks from Mary Poppins. Afraid of being typecast, Andrews turned it down. She changed her mind 2 months later, and then they picked Angela Lansbury.
Angela had already been signed to the project, so they had to turn down Julie.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yes, but at first, Julie Andrews is like, this is Mary Poppins. It's exactly the same thing. Magic and children.
England.
Yeah. she's like
jumping into chalk paintings, that kind of thing. It was the same idea.
And David Tomlinson.
Yeah, they wanted to do it, and then she's like, "Oh, this is going to be too Mary Poppins-ish," and so they got Angela Lansbury, and that was pretty good. It was very interesting to know that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine Julie Andrews in this role after we've seen Angela Lansbury in it. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so,
Angela Lansbury in it.
So there was one other thing I wanted to bring up here. Let's see, where was it? Oh, I've got the wrong document. Apologies. These were a couple of things that people were saying things about the movie itself. You know, anyone can write a review now. It can go online. So you hear things like it was lighthearted with an elusive narrative, a certain human glow, very well managed, my childhood movie. And everyone said, one great Disney live action and animation hybrid film not to be missed, featuring great Dame Angela Lansbury. But then there's this other person that wrote this thing that I saw about the star of Azeroth, and that's because Azeroth is actually not the best subject matter.
No.
He's actually one of three in an evil trinity. It's Azeroth, and then there is Beelzebub and Lucifer. I mean, that's really kind of creepy when you think about it. But when it comes all tied up with a Disney bow, for some reason, even if that goes away.
Well, she used it for good. She used her magic for good, not for evil. So that's true.
At the end of the movie, she just went ahead and just gave it all up. She said, "That's it. I'm done with magic."
She said when she received the dragon liver, she found out she didn't have the stomach to be a witch.
Right. Well, that's pretty much it. She's like, she's done. And she also felt like she made her, she helped with the war effort, you know, by taking the children and then, you know, kind of scaring off the Nazis, and they kind of ran away, which I have a little tidbit. The entire movie was shot in California. Every bit of it was shot entirely in the Burbank studios, and all of the sound stages.
Yeah, everything was in sound stages.
What about the exterior at the very beginning where you see the white cliffs?
There were a couple of exterior shots that were shot in England, but none of the actors were there. There was just establishing shots.
Yeah, but the only thing that was shot off a lot were some of the coastal scenes of the Nazi soldiers. They were doing it at a nearby beach just off of, you know, LA County. So it's Malibu.
So the coast area of England, it was like Malibu.
It was probably Malibu.
Just ruined it for me.
That movie was shot. None of it. You know, the first stage was obviously that was, you know, in England, but they just all of it was filmed in California.
I had no idea the Nazis landed at Malibu.
Oh yeah, amazing what you could do on TV and movies.
So Derek and Gregory, with the version that you saw, what was your overall impression? What did you think of the movie?
This is one of my favorite Disney movies. I go to sleep to this.
Yeah.
I like this story better than Mary Poppins. I've always took Mary Poppins to be snooty, and it always rubbed me the wrong way. I've always been more connected to this story, maybe just because of the history of it and what I had mentioned earlier. But I mean, there's certain things I wish they could have done different, like Portobello Road. It's almost like.
Yes, it's long.
But I just, and some of it's, you know, a little bit cheesy. It's fun. This is one of my favorite classic. I'd say it's in my top 5 Disney movies.
That's interesting.
I love this movie. Yeah.
This is the only version I think that I've seen of the movie, so this is all I knew. And now hearing parts on this and knowing that they're not in Disney Plus, I'm thinking, oh, okay, now I know, you know, what's in the original, and I think I like this version a lot better because that's all I know. But this is like the definitive version that has everything you could possibly want in it. So I like the technicality of the movie. I like, you know, how you could totally see the strings and stuff at times. I mean, that when she was making the shoes move, you could see the strings and
You could see the map painting.
yeah, the paintings, which are really cool. But and then when the spell was done at the end, you could see the strings lowering people, lowering the costumes down, and some of those had people in them. You could tell, but I just like the practical effects that they used a lot. So.
The interesting thing about that, though, is that I can forgive all that because I'm suspending my imagination, or reality, rather, suspending reality, and just letting it go and just enjoying the moment.
Angela Lansbury was interviewed in a D23 episode or expo, and she was talking about this movie, and she said it was really, really, really hard to act, and because the whole thing was storyboard, she called it acting by numbers, because she had to do everything. She said it was very robotic. If you were directed, you did it. So everything seemed a little stilted because everything was so planned and timed. She said it was very difficult to act to.
Was that the animated sequences, or was that also the live action?
Both.
She said it was even live action without the animation. So they said it took them forever because everything was so staged, and you had the animators there. And they said it was just a very, very timely way to act, especially the animation. But even everything was so perfectly staged over.
Could that be why it took her 20 years to come back to a Disney project?
I don't know.
That's a good point.
Like, I'm done with this.
Yeah. Very good point.
Yeah.
That's a very good point. Me, I absolutely was completely enthralled with this movie. I really did enjoy it. I had a good time. Like I said, I was able to suspend reality with it. It was a lot of fun. The only thing that I didn't like was the Portobello Road number. I thought it was too long. But other than that, I really found the story charming. And, differences aside from technical aspects and things that you could see, the strings and things, I forgot all about that. I can forgive it all. I loved the movie. I really did.
Well, I wasn't putting it down. I like that you could see that kind of stuff. It just adds charm to it. It makes it more endearing. So, and it's more of a classic that way too.
And nowadays, all that would be computer generated anyway. So
they would erase
to watch it roll out in old-fashioned style is now it's refreshing because you don't see that anymore.
Yeah.
The amount of
it's so digitized.
Yeah, amount of the effort from Matt's paintings from Peter Ellenshaw to everything.
Yeah.
Now everything is so slammed. I mean, everything is slammed into the computer, and anybody could be a high-end movie producer now because of we have with Premiere and After Effects and all the Adobe stuff. You don't need a lot. You don't need a high movie budget. We don't need a movie house. You have YouTube. You could create high-end Marvel Star Wars film in your own computer right now because of the processing.
And Ben, your final verdict on it?
I give it a thumbs up. It was a delightful film. I was pleasantly surprised and entertained all Saturday afternoon while I was watching it.
Yeah, wonderful. Now,
I did think the animated sequence went just a little long, but again, I attribute that to the very, very, very long soccer sequence.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim from More Sunshine, for bringing up the whole Mickey T-shirt. I'm glad to do that, and Gregory for showing that. You want to show it that one more time, if you have it up really quick?
Yeah, I still have it.
Yeah, I'm glad that he was able to find that. So there is that T-shirt again of a bear wearing a Mickey Mouse T-shirt in that soccer scene.
So they did hidden Mickeys and Easter eggs even back in the early 70s or late 60s. So Disney was never shy on keeping that consistent. Now it's
wonderful.
It's in it. So thank that Jim for bringing that up.
Well, I'm glad we all enjoyed it. Now, with all this said, thank you so much for watching the Disney Plus Movie Club Bedknobs and Broomsticks. We're going to be doing something a little different that we haven't done with this. Usually we choose what movie we're going to do
and announce it.
But everyone's going to see what movie we're going to choose this time.
We have a see and say.
We have the Movie Club. What was it? The Movie Club Wheel of Fun. So let's go ahead.
That's the most pathetic drum roll I've ever heard.
So if we all take a look at that.
Wow.
Go ahead, Arnie, pull it up.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh my God.
We don't know what the fate's going to be.
We don't know what it's going to be. So there are so many movies there, but we're going to let this wheel decide.
It's like,
Here it goes. The Cat from Outer Space.
oh my God.
Oh,
Yes. I was hoping for this one.
I really want
seen
to
that one.
The Cat from Outer Space is going to be our next movie.
My money is on go. Yeah. That's the wheel of the Disney Plus. It's a new. I like doing that.
That's the movie club Wheel of Fun.
And if you ever watch the middle, Sue always got the royal dash of things always went bad for Sue because she's the middle.
That is a fun movie.
Yes, that's a really fun movie. We love the cat in that movie.
I'm looking forward to seeing this again.
And we're going to be watching
it.
that movie. We're going to give you 3 weeks, I think, to see it.
Ben, what's the date? When everybody has to watch it by?
3 weeks. Wow.
Everybody has to watch The Cat from Outer Space and report back here at 7 o'clock on June
10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific on June what?
I think it's June 8th.
June 8th. Okay, on June 8th, the movie club will feature The Cat from Outer Space. Derek and Greg, thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
We kind of forced our way on the show.
Well, you
after
did.
the last one, and you said
You did.
we have to be on this show. We love this movie.
You forced us on, but they were very happy to have us.
Well, thank you, Derek and Gregory. What's happening on your show this week on Wednesday?
We have Dean
Our
from the
cruise
Life
show.
Place. No, it's not a cruise show.
It is cruise,
If
isn't
it's
it?
Dean from the Life Place, it won't be a cruise show.
Oh, you know what? These days just mix into each other. It's our Disney show.
Yes, it's a Disney So our special guest is Dean from the Life Place. So we are looking forward to having him on our show and having a good time.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to mention there was no trivia tonight because there was just so much to discuss. So we opted to forego the trivia this time.
We were like, okay, they're going to ask this. Okay, look for something odd in the background. What there's that. And now you tell us.
Well, it's really hard because we knew you were going to have you, and we really wanted to go on. And once we found out there was the highly extended version, we nixed it right there when we had a phone call with Derek and Gregory. We were just like, no, this is more important than trivia. Is I want to know the zillion versions that is out there. And that's what's really important.
Yeah. Ben, do you have something coming up with Life with Ben this week?
Yeah, I'm going to be doing something that I rarely have done in my entire life. I do some gardening.
Oh, wow. You're going to have your green thumb ready.
Yeah, every plant in the world should beware of my touch because everything I touch turns to brown.
Yeah.
Like I'm terrified.
Everything dies. All plants die around me. I'm terrible at that.
You can't cook. You can't plant. What can you do?
I can entertain.
And if you have not yet watched it, we dropped a video a couple days ago on Saturday about the Good Morning Burger from The Simpsons. We had a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh.
Guess how many ounces of butter I used on it? Report back to us.
No, I would never try to eat that. That is cholesterol city right there.
Yeah.
It was great thing about it is we shared it so our arteries didn't slam shut.
It was a lot of fun making that video. So I guess that's about all we have for tonight. But again, Ben, what's going on next week? I forgot what we have on our list. Is that
we are going to be doing a 21 questions episode next week.
That's right. And it's all about 21 questions about summer.
Yep.
So tune in next week for PTV Live at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific for 21 questions of summer.
It's Memorial Day evening, the official kickoff of summer.
Yeah. Yep. So we're going to talk about summer. Everyone, thank you so much for joining us for this edition of the Movie Club. We really appreciate you being here. So our moderators, thank you for your help tonight. And for our support channels, we have D&G Explorer. We also have Rob Fuzz. We have, excuse me, that burp was sponsored by
these
Explorers.
two guys.
Rob Fuzz, Serial Geeks, More Sunshine Please, and the Orlando Guy. Thank you everyone for watching tonight. We really appreciate
Michael,
it.
happy birthday. And thank you for the super chat.
Thank you so much for that super chat, Mike. And everyone, have a magical evening and have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow.
Love you all.
Bye. Everyone.
Bye.